Today we're going to be doing the first service on the RC390, just over 1,000 kilometers. Service light is on. It's 1,019 kilometers. So that's what we're going to be doing today. First step, I would always say, get yourself a owner's manual. Are free to download, and I printed mine off. You can look at it on your phone if you want to, but print it off. Page 102 is our process for changing the engine oil filter and cleaning the oil screens. Of course, we're not going to do that. We're just going to replace it all. What you need is, from KTM, you can buy a kit, and it has everything you need. There's a part number, and it will have absolutely everything, which is great. That's a kit I've already opened, but I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use the new one because this one has been pre-drilled, so the oil pan, the oil bolt is drilled, the filter, secondary little filter is drilled, just to make everything easier for when it's going on the racetrack. But this kit gives you everything you need. There's no reason to reuse anything. Gives you new O-rings. Gives you a new filter for behind the drain plug. Gives you all the O-rings, it gives you everything. So definitely say buy a kit, because there's no reason. A smaller bolt. Any KTM dealer should have this in stock. There's our drain bolt, new O-ring on it. O-ring for the oil filter. There we go, there's everything it comes with. That's everything you need, short of the oil. Now, KTM says 15W40, and of course they want their Motor X, but I don't really use that stuff. The stuff's a little easier for me to get, so that's the one that I'm using. So, getting into it, first step is we're going to remove that cover there. It's 2 bolts, both are 4mm hex. That gives us access. There's our oil filter inside there. Before I open up anything, I always like to clean all around, so it's all clean, you're not getting any dirt inside. Not that there was that much on this. This is going to be one of our bolts right here. Of course, these two for the oil filter. And on this side, there's our main drain flow. So when you read the instructions in the owner's manual, it's going to tell you, like I said, to remove that cover. Then remove the oil drain plug with the O-ring. Remove the oil screen with the O-ring that's behind it. So that's going to be our first step. So the bike needs to be warm. My bike was warm. You need to be careful because your exhaust is right there. This is still warm, but it's not hot. Now, you're going to most likely get oil on it. So I just put a little bit of tin foil over top of it. And you won't have that terrible, terrible oil burning smell, making you wonder if you did everything right. Now this one, you can also slide in a little cup, which will help keep it away. That's what we're going to do. This first one is an 18 millimeter. And I always crack the oil filler cap just to make it easier for oil to flow, a little air behind it. But in your owner's manual, it will show you all the torques for all of this stuff. So that's why it's very beneficial to have the owner's manual ready and set and pre-read, just so you know the procedure before. I always have lots of rags ready, some brake cleaner, because inevitably I will get some on my floor. It happens without fail, because you can never guess how well this stuff's going to flow. And just like clockwork, this flowing off the back. Okay. So now we'll open up that oil filler cap all the way. Just set it off to the side. And we'll let this drain. I've got this little hook. Start trying to pull. And this one you can actually just grab. And this one's going to have the majority of whatever metal's in there. Definitely some in there, but normal for a break-in. Grab the new parts. I like to just put a little bit of oil in the O-ring. Add her in. Push her in until she clicks in. Now we can put on our new bolt. And same thing goes for this O-ring here. Make sure you just put a little bit on there. So it doesn't get pinched while you're turning it. And we're just going to give this guy a finger tight. There we go. Clean up some of this excess oil. Get rid of half a cup. Okay, this one will be next to impossible to film while I take it out because it's so far up under there. But this one will be a 13 millimeter. 13. Same thing. High likeliness of getting it on the exhaust. We should have most of the oil out already. Ooh, quite enough. I think for the old design of these, they had these separate, and you can pull them apart, but now they keep them together. Some good metal chunks in there. Now they keep them together specifically for that reason. So you can easily get it out when you go to change it. Again, we'll let her drain. So when I drilled those, I took them apart. Okay, looks like it's drained sufficiently. So we're gonna do the same thing, just get a little oil on our finger. Get those O-rings. Again, we're not going fully tight, we're just getting her reasonably tight. We'll come back and torque it after. Now, if you do happen to get any oil on your exhaust, easy enough to clean it off with a little bit of brake cleaner. The oil filter. These are 8mm bolts. Now these cases are held in place with an O-ring with your little pick tool. Work your way in. We can work our way in around the oil filter. Lots of oil and lots of little hidden places in this apparently. While we're waiting for that, we can take our cover, clean it off a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to pull off this O-ring, because that is part of the replacement kit. There's our old one. We're just going to leave it on there. Clean up our case a little bit more. Our kit, we're going to grab our last couple pieces. There's our new oil filter. Pretty obviously which way it goes in. Pour a little oil on the inside just to help that come out. Push it in all the way till she clicks. We'll take our O-ring, a little oil on it. Slip it on, nice and easy. Make sure your oil filter is on the top, because we like to show our obsessive compulsive disorder. Now this one, we are going to put on new bolts. You don't have to, oops. But these bolts I have already drilled. Because for road racing, you need to have this secured with safety wire. There's our two new ones. You can see they drill through there. Now you could keep your old ones off and just drill those, but bolts aren't that expensive. So I like to have spares. Now as we push this, tighten this up, we just want to make sure that it goes on evenly to help that O-ring properly seat into place. There we go. Again, just hand tight, and we'll use the proper torque specs from our owner's manual for all of these. Make sure there's no extra oil around. Okay, now we'll get this all out of the way, and we'll get ready for the torque wrench. For our engine oil filter, the screws are M6s, and they say 10 Newton meters or 7.4 foot-pounds. So it definitely isn't very much. So we still want to try to keep it even. There we go. Next we'll do our middle hard to reach one, which is an M17 by 1.5, and it is 11 Newton meters. Very low numbers. Now we'll do our last one, and that is an M24 by 1.5, and it is 13 Newton meters. That is it. Everything's back to tight. So now we can take a second and make sure everything's all nice and clean. And then we'll be on to filling. So for filling this, Our manual says it takes 1.7 liters or 1.8 quarts of oil. So it's a couple days later now. Got called away to a family birthday celebration. We just left a note on the bike that it had no oil. Now let's put some oil in it. If you're doing this with just a single stand, you want to make sure you pay special attention to how full it is, because you've got to keep it even. I have it on a front and a rear stand, so the bike is even. Back ready. That's 1.7 liters. Still nothing on our little window. There we go, so it's at the full top mark now. I'm sure that'll go down once we start it up. Always remember to reinstall your filler cap, which we do still have to drill, and safety wire. When we put on the covers, you just want to go over in your mind, make sure you torqued all the bolts. We know we did. 4 in total. Put the key in. Well, I'm going to start it up and run it for 30 seconds or so, just enough to circulate some oil. Now by the manual it says give it 1 minute. And then recheck it. We should be low because we would have filled all that filter back up. As you can see here, it is down. So, add a little top up. It's probably not going to be very much, so I'm going to go nice and easy on this part. And there it is. Starting to come up, so we're right in between the 2 halves, or the 2 marks. One more little dab. There we go, I'd say that's pretty good. Make sure that this is clean. Make sure we don't get any oil in around that cap. Fill the cap back in. I always like to do it one more time. This time we'll let it run for a little more than a minute. And check it again. Okay, give her some revs there. Held it at about 3,000, nothing too major. I'll wait and make sure that oil comes back up. And while we're waiting, we'll check around all of our bolts underneath, remembering that that exhaust is now going to be hot. Making sure we don't have any leaks. Looking pretty good. Okay, for the reset to the service light, I've already done this once, so you go settings with our set button here. One, you want to be on settings, but you don't want to go into it. And then you press the up and down at the same time, holding it down. Then you get to the screen. If you press your set button, you'll be able to change your interval for your next service. So I set mine to 5,000, even though it doesn't really matter, because we'll change oil more often than that for a track bike. And then it's all reset, and then back out, and you can see there's no more service light. I also changed the shift lights, because I hate the shift lights on this thing. RPM 1, 95. I could probably change to 9,000. Then number 2, 10,000. And left the shift light on. And if you're looking to see if your bike has a quick shifter, you go into motorcycle, and there it is right there. On or off, quick shifter. That's it. The last thing we have to do is we'll check the oil again. And we're still good. We'll check for leaks one more time on all of our bolts that we put in. Still all dry. And then we'll put our little lower fairing back on. Just the 2 bolts. that's it. Make sure our filler cap is tight. And that is our first service on a 2023 RC390. Thanks for watching.